Hey, Bill. Hey, Janelle.
Hey, how you doing?
Okay, how are you all?
Great. Good picture of you there.
You too. Boy, your house looks so nice, Bill.
Oh, thank you. I have to have you over.
Are you in Lewis right now, or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Usually I'm out at the farm.
Oh, yeah, no. As I say, no, the fence looks really, really nice, and oh God, so nice and crisp.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
It was good to get out. The weather's been great, huh?
Oh, it's been beautiful. Yeah. I rode down to Rehoboth on Sunday on my bike and back and walked around town a little bit.
Do you take the trails? Is that
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that great?
It really is. And it wasn't too bad either. There were people, but there weren't that many, and generally they were very courteous.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hello, Barbara.
Hello, how you do? How's everybody doing?
Hey, Barbara.
Good. I think we're all getting the hang of this.
I know. I tried something new. I kind of pushed my laptop way back, so I actually had room in front.
Yeah,
I'm
I've got
hoping
a
that works a little better.
Yeah.
I don't know if it will or not, but we'll see.
I'm usually on the computer, but I'm on my laptop today, and it's just good.
Hey, Phil.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Phil.
Hello. Hey, Phil.
Hey. Hey, Michael and Bill.
Hey, Phil.
Hey, how you doing?
Okay.
I like that you have behind you. That's nice.
What's that? Who are you talking to?
I'm talking to
Bill?
Mike.
Mike?
Yeah.
What do you like, Bill?
The light.
Oh,
Yeah, I like-
okay. Yeah. And I've got to see that thing on the shelf up there, that head, that Nuzu.
Yeah, where'd you get that?
That was I got that in the Solomon Islands as a Peace Corps volunteer. It was a going away gift from the guy that I was training. And they used to mount these. They used to mount these on the heads of canoes because they were notorious for headhunting.
Oh, that's neat.
Ooh.
And on the front of the canoe, if it had a head, it means they were going off to war. And if it was a dove, it was a peaceful mission. So
Oh,
they
that's
gave me
neat.
a head.
Wow.
What do you think, Barbara? You want one in your bedroom?
I don't think so. I was thinking of, oh, Phil, your painting's crooked behind you.
It just appears that way.
Oh, really? It's not really?
No, it isn't. Because I go crazy about straightening paintings and things on the wall.
Oh my goodness, it certainly looks weird. So
It's not.
It's not the okay. Yeah.
Hey, Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Okay, so I guess Robin is not here yet, and
Okay.
Brian's not here yet.
And Randy and George. Oh, there's George.
Is George here?
Hi, George.
Hey, George.
Hi.
Hey, Bonnie.
Hi, George.
George.
Everybody.
Bonnie. Okay.
Hey, Bonnie.
Where's the
Good.
cat?
How's everybody? Where's the cat? I don't know. He'll probably be here later.
So still missing
Randy
Randy and Robin,
and Brian.
Brian.
Bonnie, I have a corner cupboard just like that. I said, I think the dishes are the same behind you too.
Right there.
Oh,
These are a couple of build-ins that came with that. The house is about 1925, 6, 7, somewhere in there.
Uh-huh.
And they were there. So I don't know if they're original, but it might be.
I'm not going to let you see it. She'll want to pry it out and drag it here to 2nd Street.
Okay. Oh, we've never not been without Robin. But we have 2 more minutes, so I
and-
guess we're okay.
Brian too, right?
Yeah, Brian, Randy, and Robin is what I have.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's everybody. Yeah, because everybody else is here. So I guess we can just chit chat.
I can't wait for us to all get back to City Hall.
Really?
Really, I feel handicapped.
Oh, I'm sorry. I kind of like this.
Think of all the gas you're saving.
Yeah, all the gas we're thinking, right?
I was on the governor's call this morning,
Mhm.
and the infection rate in Delaware is very, very high.
Oh my.
Now, they think that some of that may be a statistical issue, because they apparently, don't ask me how this works, but they said they've only been counting the first time someone takes a test. So if you're one of those people who gets regularly tested because of social interaction with your job or whatever, for whatever reason, they're not, and you're consistently negative, that somehow doesn't crank into the statistics. Now, I don't know why it matters. I mean, what you really want to know is how many single people show up positive, but they seem to think that was going to matter. But right now, yeah, we're not looking too good.
So we're probably being tagged as a state that cannot travel.
It could be. I mean, but look at what's going on. I'm sure everybody else just got all these, breaking news affairs that now the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't get that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
so we've
Gives
got a president who is on heavy duty steroids, which, I've never been on steroids, but I've been around people who are, and sometimes it's not very pretty.
Mhm.
So we got a president who's on steroids. We got the Joint Chiefs of Staff, whatever. We got 3 or 4, however many it is, senators who can't. I mean,
Wow.
so of course Delaware has a problem, big problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard
Rest-
the news. I had the news on at 12 noon, and all of that was being talked about. It seemed like there's almost nobody left.
Mm.
Well, we've got the 8 of us, I hope.
Joint Chiefs of Staff are all infected.
Okay.
I don't think they're infected. I think they're quarantined.
yeah, that's right.
But either way, I mean, I don't know about you, but the whole prospect of, us having a national security incident while all the Joint Chiefs can do is talk to each other by Zoom is not very reassuring.
Mm-hmm.
They have something called it
Let
skip.
me, Robin.
Yeah.
I think, Robin, we're still missing Randy and Brian.
Yeah, I know I talked to Randy. He's out of town, but he said he was going to be on.
Okay.
So I had to email him his packet because he wasn't going to be able to pick it up.
Oh, okay. And so I guess we're just waiting for Brian then, but I guess we can go ahead and start. I've got 2:01.
It's 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
We have quorum.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Well, and do we have our applicant here? Yeah.
Brenda's here, yes.
Okay, great. All right. So officially call the meeting to order. This is the Historic Preservation Architecture Review Commission, Tuesday, October 6th, 2 o'clock, our electronic Zoom meeting. And the only thing we have for announcements is Michael is just going to share some updates from St. Peter's Church project. Michael?
Sure. Yeah. Hi, everybody. Yeah. About a couple of weeks ago, Jeff Ross, the rector down at St. Peter's, who's a neighbor, invited my partner and I down to the church just to sort of take an inside tour of developments. I know most of you are aware of the fact that this renovation's been going on for about a year now, and most recently a new steeple was installed last week in the church. And it really is quite beautiful inside, and he wanted to have me extend an offering to each of you. What the parish plans on doing over the coming weeks is to offer a virtual sort of tour on their website for the public and for any of us to
It's my telephone.
yeah. Okay.
It'll turn off in just a second. There it goes.
Okay.
Sorry.
To tap into And he also has extended an offer as well to actually do individual, tours for groups of us if in fact we're interested. And I told him I'd be willing to share that information with you all, and I would, serve as a coordinator, amongst everyone if people wanted to go in, small groups, or they just wanted to tap into the virtual. Some of the things that have taken place. There's a new stained glass window in the new front sanctuary part of the building to the left that was designed and created by, I guess, the last stained glass studio in the country, located in New Jersey. And one of the things that I found most interesting was the basement, which they basically dug the dirt flooring out and have created a new chapel down there. And they've installed this beautiful altar that was in one of the original structures of the church. And that particular area eventually will be used, I think he said, for baptisms and for, smaller services. And then there's an adjoining room as well with all of the exposed beams and the tongue and groove, the bottom side of the flooring and the ceiling area that's going to be used for meetings and for, I think he said, for wedding groups, to sort of convene prior to the actual ceremony. And one of the last cool things that I sort of picked up on as well was the fact that they created an alcove down there where they've put in a very, very visible space the original cross, which everybody is aware got struck by lightning several years ago. And they've had that restored, and they've had that inset into the alcove. So again, if any of you are interested in an individual tour, with Jeffrey, I could, let him know what the level of interest is, and we could coordinate something. I could also let everybody know as well when the virtual tour goes live. So that's it from me.
Okay, thank you very much. That sounds great. I think I'd be interested in seeing it at some point. I don't know if we're limited to how many people can go at one time. I think if it's a tour and it's announced, I think it would be okay, but we can, when the time is right for that tour, then I can double check with Robin and Brian and
in the interim, I can let you all know when the virtual tour.
That would be great.
Great. I would love to do a tour in person.
Okay.
Same here.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but Mike, I think you left out the most important part. They've added 2 bathrooms.
Oh yeah, I did leave that out. Not only is it beautifully restored, but it's now ADA compliant as well.
Yes.
With 2 bathrooms when you enter in, with the ADA restroom to the left and the other one to the right. So
This is probably what the congregation will be truly thankful for.
exactly.
Yes.
And they've retained the beauty of the stained glass windows there in the front. They're backlit. So and they're in the bathrooms. So yep.
I was glad to see that they didn't move the McIntyre grave.
Yeah.
And that they lived in the house where the mayor lives right now.
Okay.
It's very close to the new addition, very, very close.
Okay.
But George
there.
McIntyre was a good friend of mine. That was his grandparents. And he
Okay.
said, Bill, look out for it. Look out. Nothing I can do about it. It doesn't get removed, and it didn't. It's
Right.
very close, but it didn't.
Great.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, thank you both.
Yeah.
Moving right along, we're going to do the review and approval of the minutes. So the first one we're going to do is from the August 11th. And does anyone have any corrections or additions? I'm just going to do them. Can I do them one at a time, or should I do them all together? Doesn't
Hey,
matter.
Barbara, can I ask a quick question? Is Jackie on this call?
Yeah.
She is, but she frequently has problems with her mic. I talked to her earlier today.
Just wanted to make sure it was getting
Recorded.
ably recorded. Excellent.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
And just council person Osler, it looks like the Zoom meeting is actually recording it. So it's right up at the top.
Yes. Oh yeah, I see that. Yeah. Okay. So Brian, can I just do all these as one?
They are 2 separate agenda items, so I would do one before the other, Chairperson Mornell.
Okay. May I have a motion to approve the minutes for the August 11th, 2020 HPARC meeting as submitted?
So moved.
Second,
I'll second it.
thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Okay, carries. The second one is the public hearing that we did on September 1st. The minutes for that. Does anyone have any additions, deletions, corrections? I hear
And-
nothing. May I have a,
Chairperson Warnell, that's just, there were two meetings that were held on September 1st. One was with regard to a demolition application and the other was,
this is for the public hearing meeting. I'm sorry, should have said that. This is for the public hearing meeting on September 1st, the first meeting.
okay.
Any corrections, additions, or deletions? No. May I have a motion to approve as submitted?
I move to approve as submitted.
Thank
I
you.
second it.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nothing. Great. This is the last of the three, and it's also for the 9/1/2020. This is the regular HPARC meeting. And I had one thing which I talked to Jackie about. It's on the last page, and I hope I didn't actually say this. This was following a comment that I had made regarding follow-up for the submission for the Second Street structure, where we did a chair and staff to finalize some of the changes that the commission wanted. And I made a comment about that. And I think it was probably during the conversation about that somebody must have maybe asked a question. I don't know. But the last sentence on the last page is the revisions to this, I'm saying this, the revisions to the sunroom have changed the status to non-contributing. I'm not authorized to say that, to change any status of any structure. So I hope I said it and it was misconstrued or something. Jackie didn't have access to the tapes at the time, and she said, as far as she was concerned, I could just request that it be deleted.
Yeah.
And I would like to do that, since it's misleading to the public. And it's not accurate.
If
Yeah,
I
I
may,
don't recall you saying that either.
Good.
okay, if I may though, but I'm pretty sure Jackie heard something to that effect, or she wouldn't have typed that.
I'm sure she did. She did too. And she said I could listen to the tapes and see, but it's not appropriate for me to say that.
But
And
if you did, it's part of the record. That's what I'm saying. You know, no matter, that's why we have to be very cautious about what you say that is being recorded, whether you meant to say things or not. I think if you want to have a correct record, and I'm going to let Brian maybe follow up. But
well, okay, so would the correct thing to do at this point is for me to listen to the tape?
Jackie can listen to it because she's the one who did and could
Okay.
probably type it.
I think that would be the more appropriate thing to do, would be to see what was actually said before we make a change.
Yeah, and it could be somewhat out of context too. You know, if it could have been somebody, I don't know, asking a question about it, and it was part of a response or something like that. But
Brian,
Yeah.
this is Bonnie, I have a question. If it turns out that tape does say those, and Jackie does such a great job, if the tape, if that is in fact what Barbara said, even though it wasn't what she meant, is it appropriate for her to put a footnote or bracketed information, or is there some way to note in the minutes Barbara's concern that it be misleading, even if it was said? Is there a mechanism to do that?
That I would need to check on. I do think that what's concerning is that that could be that could be construed as some sort of, equitable estoppel argument. You could have, they could have later on down the line where Barbara made a comment and we don't correct the item to make sure that that's, appropriate or not appropriate. So it may be best, if that is the case, for that to be acted upon or amended or stated in a certain way as to explain why that's an issue.
Or
And-
could you then put in something saying, see minutes of today's meeting for clarification, something like that?
Yes, I think that would be appropriate, Bonnie, Councilwoman Osler. Mr. Thomaston, you had something to say? I'm sorry.
Oh, I think I missed the last thing that was said, but I mean, just a point of information or point of order is this is the reason that we review the minutes, and if necessary, we amend them in our meeting.
Mhm.
And my other, I agree with you, George, and that's why I'm bringing it up. And I think the other thing is there's a lot more said than show up in the minutes. So not everything gets typed into the minutes. So because this was included and other things weren't, seems like we should be able to decide that this should not be included in the minutes because it can be misleading to the public. And
my thought is I would make a motion that we approve the minutes with that amendment to the meeting, to the minute.
And the amendment would be to delete it?
Yes, because, I mean, I don't remember everything, but I certainly think I would have remembered if you had made a statement that, or anyone had made a statement that any property goes from conforming to non-conforming because of something you do besides tearing it down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course, I happen to agree with you, but
that's just my thought. And we correct minutes without reviewing tapes every month.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have looked at the bylaws as well as the code, and I don't see anything with regard to minute amendment other than that general item that we do every month is review and approve the minutes. I can do a little bit more research, but that's my basic research on the phone on the fly.
Okay, so then in order to move along, do we just not approve these minutes at this time?
Well, I think a motion could be made that we table the approval of the minutes until the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
Are you making
I
that
move
motion?
we
I
table.
second that.
Okay. All in favor of that motion?
Aye.
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 Okay, thank you very much. All right. We are now up to our one and only application. And this is presentation and possible action on the request by Brenda Jones on behalf of Edward and Molly Zygmonski for the construction of a one-story addition to the right rear area of the existing dwelling. The property located at 616 Kings Highway, Sussex County Tax Map 335-8-15-38.00 R-4H contributing. 616 Kings Highway. Are you there, Brenda? Is Brenda mic'd in? Is Robin there? Robin?
Yes, Robin's there. I see him.
He's frozen.
He's
frozen.
frozen.
Oh, he's moving.
Oh, maybe we have some kind of video glitch or something.
Well, Robin's moving.
Oh, yeah, he's alive.
Okay,
Janelle Handel is doing the.
okay, she's our technical advisor.
I'll have to go and see.
Okay, do we, can I jump, is it okay, Brian, if I jump into unfinished business?
I think that's appropriate, Council, Madam Chair.
Okay, all right. So D1 on unfinished business is update of survey of the historic district. That was started last Thursday. It will continue for the next 4 additional Thursdays. And then D2 is update. Oh, and let me back up again. So the people that are doing it, of course, at the University of Delaware, and you may see them walking around. They'll all be wearing, I think, yellow vests and with name, hanging name tags, so everybody knows who they are. And you know, they've done this many times, and this is our 7th. So,
Okay,
Brenda.
I think you might be able to hear me now. Hang on a second. Okay,
Yeah.
we're on, Ed. We're on. You come on in.
Along with the dog.
It's been kind of a comedy of errors this morning. Hang on just 1 second.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, I think we said it wrong. Okay, hold on.
Okay, so while Brenda gets everything organized, unfinished business D2, update on certified local government CLG grant. Happy to report, I finally got notification this past week that City of Lewis is going to receive $4,533 for additional, for a CLG grant with no strings attached. I mean, it has to be appropriate, but it hasn't already been specified because it was so late in coming. We proceeded with the resurveying phase 7. And it requires a match, which is $3,022, but the University of Delaware supplies the match. And I talked to Kate and also Robin briefly, and what we were considering doing with this money is we're going to have the University of Delaware go back and do a review of the previous phases and updates, because there's been several projects that, you know, structures that have had significant work to them since, you know, 7 years ago, since the first phase. So I think that would be appropriate, so that when we release these surveys, they'll be at least up to date. So, so I think that's it on the unfinished business.
Okay,
And,
we're ready if you are.
okay, we are now ready. We already read the little blurb.
Okay.
So you can jump right in and do the presentation, Brenda.
Okay, well, Mr. Zygmonski is here with me. So this is about 616 Kings Highway. And it's a 1-story master bedroom addition to the rear right side of the existing house. And now the fire department goes off.
Oh, grief.
So as you can see from the submission, what the exterior elevations look like. You also have the floor plans. We wanted to keep the same profile. The original house has aluminum siding with an 8-inch exposure.
Mm-hmm.
And so we want to do the addition with hardy board and keep the 8-inch exposure, smooth side, hardy. Most of the first floor levels have a 24-inch overhang. So that's want to continue with that overhang and try to make the roof line compatible with the original structure.
Okay. Is that it?
That's pretty much it.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to do what we've been doing in the past. We're going to go around in order of how everybody sits, just to make it easier and less confusing. So, Bill, do you want to start us off with any questions or comments?
Thank you, Madam Chair. In looking at the home, this home is well taken care of. I got to say kudos to the owners. I mean, they really have taken good care of it. Now, as far as the addition goes, I have a couple comments I'd like to make, maybe a question or two.
Mhm.
The windows in the original home, did we consider where that window is above the sink on the addition? Did we try to match that with the windows in the existing old structure? Because it stands out as, you know, where it doesn't blend in with the old structure very well. Also, I noticed, and if you could make a comment or two about it, that bay window on that right-hand side on the old structure is really a beautiful window, a bay window. Did we have to tie in the old addition and take part of the character of that bay window? Did we have to do that to get that thing to go into the bedroom hall?
Yes, we need that area to be able to go into the new addition. And the back corner of that is the only piece that's not going to, or that's going to be changed. The bay window itself will remain. It will just blend into the new structure. The roof line will hip into that. So from the street side, you won't be able to see that bay window. You won't be able to see the definition of the back part of that roof line of that bay window anyway.
Well, I stood on the sidewalk and saw it pretty clear. And, you know, when you tie in the back side of that bay window, it no longer is a bay window. It really, so I just, you know, I have a little concern with that. The windows on that right-hand side too, on the new addition, the small windows, I know that's a bedroom, but again, from the sidewalk, you see that as clear as all get out. I'm wondering if we could consider, I know the materials of the windows are appropriate for us, but the size of them in relation to the old existing house, it just throws it off considerably. Now, the small windows on the other side, of course, you'd never see those. The one on from the parking side, I don't think you'd ever see those. But on the right-hand side, it's easy to stand there on the sidewalk and see all that. So, but, you know, I have a problem with that. The roof, I'm really glad that it looks like the same pitch as what you have on the old house. And I think that will look nice as an addition to the old house. So I have a little bit of a problem with the windows, and I have a problem with taking advantage of that bay window in the back because I think it takes away from that. I also wanted to ask, I noticed the foundation on the old house is block, and that block's probably hard to match. So what are we getting for a foundation on that right side facing the street? Is that going to be blocked with, you know, with some surface put over top of it, or what's the plan there?
Parched concrete block.
Okay. 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 So that's my comments, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you very much.
The original front window, the front window which faces the street that you're seeing in the laundry room there, it would be the same profile as the original windows in the house. The windows down the right side are on such an angle that I don't believe you would ever be able to discern what those windows look like. And if you, and Robin would know this too, if you put a ruler at the corner of the property line and look down the side, you're not ever going to get a full view of those windows.
Are you talking about the window that faces the road, which is, I thought, was what Bill was talking about?
I have a problem with that, Madam Chair. Yes, because it's not in sync with the old.
Because it's part of the street elevation, you know. I mean, it's
that window has an 8/1 profile, which matches the original house.
But what about the overall dimensions?
Yeah, that and the trim around it I had concerns on.
Well, the trim is matching because that was noted in Brenda's material list.
Okay.
Right.
What's the size of that?
The size of that window is about 2'8" wide by 3'4" tall. And that window is above a counter, so it can't be any longer. And once again, you're standing at the street looking back at the house with landscaping in front of that window. You know, you're not going to be able to see that that depth is any different than, I mean, especially when you're standing, I think it's probably about 4 feet lower on the sidewalk than you are from the property grade.
What's the size of the windows on that bay window?
The bay window are,
There's 3 windows actually there, you know, with dividers, but just the size of the window. What's the size of that?
well, there's 2 on the, or 1 on the side that's probably only like a foot, maybe 1.5 feet wide. And then the 3 down the side, I believe are 3 different sizes. I believe the 1 in the center is larger and the 2 on the side are smaller.
What is the height?
The height of those windows,
Yes.
they are probably 4 feet high. I don't think they're any taller than that. Because when you stand up, they're higher than your waist.
Oh, yeah.
Or, you know.
Much higher. Yeah.
I have,
Wait.
okay.
Yes. Bill, are you finished yet, or you want to make any other comments?
Yeah, I'm finished. And, you know, I did make about those 3 little windows on the right-hand side as well. My main concern is that window in the front, that on the new addition, that's above the sink there. I have a problem with that size of that window. But the 3 on the side there, you can also see them from the street. And I'm just wondering, I know that's a bedroom, but at the same time, it seems we could get some height on those windows there. You know, it would be.
Okay.
So
So
that's it.
basically, it's a compatibility of the windows. That's what you're talking about.
Mhm.
Okay, great. All right. Next is next is actually Michael, and then we'll go to you, Phil.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, first off, I agree with Bill in terms of the fact that it's a very, very nicely maintained property. As the submission to the National Register indicated, it's a 1920s style 4-square colonial revival. And one of the key elements, as noted, are the the windows and the multi-lights over them. And I know that when I walk by, and for years, I've always been just sort of impressed with just the unique quality of the upper panes. I know just in the front, on the second level, you're looking at about 25 panes total there. And then I believe in the front room on the side before the bay window, there's another size, a smaller window between the taller ones that are all, they all contain, you know, grill work. And regarding the front window on the new addition, I see it's double hung, which is great. I don't necessarily have an issue with the size, but I would hope that the grills that would be used in that particular window would be proportionate with respect to other windows within the house. So I don't know whether it's like, Brenda, I think you said you were looking at maybe 8/1 or what have you, but in terms of the scale, it would be nice to sort of be compatible with the existing architectural details of the original structure. The other thing that I really, really like about this plan is the integration of the pyramid hipped roof, which complements the original roof structure in this historic property. And I believe that the height of this addition is in harmony with the streetscape. And it's also in sync with the ranch style house to the right-hand side of the property. In terms of the Secretary's standards, applying them to the review here, from what I could tell from the street, the public view, the changes that are being made to the original structure are sort of minimal in character. And this is a very positive sort of thing when looking at the standards. And the original character of the original structure is pretty much intact. And in addition, the addition itself down the road can actually is clearly differentiated from the original and can be reversed if at all possible. The materials being proposed are all previously approved. The Anderson 400 windows, the Hardy Plank smooth side 8-inch fiberboard, and I believe the plans also are, since we're also looking at paint color, the color of the Hardy Plank is to be the light gray color, which the house currently has on the aluminum siding, and the trim is to be white, and the asphalt to match. So all in all, I think that it's a I don't have an issue with the side windows facing the ranch style property. Again, from the street, I know there's a small addition on there currently with, I believe, 2 smaller windows. And this addition will be including that piece there and then extending out. And I don't think that it'd be that visible from the street, but those are my comments at this particular juncture. So.
Great, Michael. Thank you very much. Phil, it's now your turn.
Yes, I look at that side elevation with those small windows, and I know it's a bedroom, and I know that's probably the bed wall where the head of the bed is going, but they could be 2 regular size windows to match the height of the windows on the existing house on either side of the bed. And often the headboard of the bed is against a solid wall, and then there are tall windows, and inside there's a nightstand on either side and a lamp. So to ask for those windows, you could leave the center 2 windows, high windows in, and put tall windows on either side and get the bed in there and have a nice composition. The first thing I looked at, or I took exception to when I was reviewing these plans, was the length of that side wall, because it doesn't have the scale of the rest of this house. And then those windows just are not in the same vocabulary of the rest of the windows on the house. So I would ask that a second look take place of those windows. I had a question about the color of the proposed siding, and that was answered. And also the roof shingles are going to match. How about the window trim? Is the window trim going to match the rest of the house, the original window trim?
Yes, it will.
Okay.
On the interior and the exterior, yes.
Oh, good. Okay. And I just wondered if there could be a break in that long wall, even if it's just 12 inches. Other than that, let's see, you've answered my questions, or my questions have been answered. So, but the one thing is the long wall with the high windows. It just doesn't have the same scale and rhythm that the rest of the house has. The rest of the house, even though it's a large house, it's broken down, or it's by different elements, so it doesn't read as a very large house, and it's also well cared for. But so I would like a second look at that long wall with those high windows, just those high windows. Nothing else is on that elevation to give it any kind of character.
Okay. All right. Randy, are you here? Randy Burton?
Yeah, I'm here. I have a couple.
Where are you, Randy?
I'm in Billings, Montana.
Oh, good for you. Okay. Well, thank you for joining us.
Getting ready to go into Yellowstone tomorrow. And so I've had some connectivity issues. I've been turning my video off and on because of buffering, and I just relocated for a battery. I'm going to just to let you know, I'm probably, once we get through this, I've got to cut out. I just have some connectivity problems and other stuff.
Okay.
But so I'm trying to chime in here. So I'll be brief. I think that the overall application is a strong application. The only single concern that I have is for that window that is there on the front. I think, Brenda, maybe a possibility would be to do a cutout of the back of that cabinet, so it would allow for a longer window. It would be a blackened panel. You would have window treatments on that window, I would assume, anyhow. And you would notice it from the exterior, so there'd be a small slot in the back of that counter where the sink is that would allow the window to be trimmed out, and causes a little bit of custom cabinetry work, but I think that it could easily solve with a little, few $100s of trim work, the alignment and the continuity of that front. The side windows, I honestly don't believe that they're an issue, and I think that if we look at the standard that we review by, which I don't have all the standards in front of me in a document, but that it is one of the things that it talks about with additions is that that they are distinct and that they do appear that they were added on. So I think by having the hip roof that you have, by having the matching profiles of the trims, I think it's an overall great addition to a house that I'm very familiar with because my uncle lived in that house 40 years ago, and or however long. I'm getting too daggone old, I guess. That's why I'm out. That's why I'm out here in Billings before I get way too old. So I would just encourage you to take a look at is there a methodology for cutting out the back of that cabinet, making it so that you could keep the alignment of that window in the laundry area at the same height as the ones on the bay window.
Okay, thank you very much. Next is George.
Okay, yeah, I'm just going to echo pretty much what Bill and Phil said. I had some heartburn with the windows. I think the design is very good, Brenda, as normal. You do a great job. But like I said, the scale of that front window just doesn't seem to match. And then I'm less concerned about the 3 windows on the side, but I think Phil had a very, very good suggestion if that's even possible, but I wouldn't hold that up. I mean, I wouldn't hold the project up over my feeling about that, but so it's whatever everyone else decides to do with that, if anything at all. But my opinion is virtually the same as everyone else's.
Okay, thank you very much. Joe?
Oh, thank you. I have no objection to the 3 windows on the right-hand side of the house, the set of 3 in the bedroom there. What I am wondering about is on the left-hand side, there's a sliding glass door going into the yard. And according to the elevations, it looks like you're like 18 to 24 inches above grade. And you don't seem to be extending the rear deck over there. So I'm wondering whether there will be steps once you go through those sliders, or will the deck be expanded to reach that new area? Brenda?
Well, first of all, that whole area back there is not in the purview of the HPC.
Okay. Yeah, I'm construction related on things like this. Okay. I'm just looking, also wondering about exterior HVAC units. Where will they be placed? In view? Any ideas?
We're not going to be changing where the location of the HVAC is currently. This will not require a new unit.
Okay, so tapping the existing and no New units placed. Okay, right. The only thing that Robin may look at in the future is what happens when you step through those sliders. Also an opportunity to add skylights on that inside area too. All right. Thank you, Brenda.
Okay.
Just going back, just adding to that, the survey has a deck in a certain shape, and then on the floor plans, the deck is not that, is a different shape. What is it?
Again, the deck is not part of the review.
Yeah, it's not our.
It's the backyard. It's not seen from the street. It's not seen at all.
Okay, it's okay then, sir. There's a discrepancy in between the survey and the plan.
That's for Robin to deal with, not us.
Okay. I'm going to make a couple comments. I got some tabs here in our little booklet. In the historic district or properties criteria standards, under A criteria, one of the things that's noted that we review is the relationship of the exterior architectural features of the structure to the remainder of the structure and to the surrounding neighborhood. This would apply to the windows. 3 is general compatibility of exterior design, arrangement, texture. Again, that's talking about the windows are applicable to that. And then on 9, also under criteria is, well, 7, it's the facade treatment, which we've talked about, which the windows are part of that. And 9 is a proposed new structure or any alteration to an existing structure of a historic property shall conform to the city code. However, it is the intent of the HPARC, consistent with its purpose, to assist in preserving the historic character and the historic fabric of the city. Those small contemporary windows apply, that this applies to the small contemporary windows. Also on standards B, F, whatever it is, it says regardless of the type of replacement siding material, and you've already addressed this on the siding. It will be compatible, although it's different material. And under windows in the standards, new construction, new structures in the historic district and alterations to existing structures shall have windows compatible with the existing and surrounding structures. In this case, we're just concerned about this existing structure and the windows being compatible. Also, number 8 is architectural details, which applies to such building features as windows. And I think that is pretty much it from our regulations. So I'm also concerned that that very large, long, empty wall that just has the 3 small windows, they're a contemporary style window, and it's, you know, the pattern, the harmony of that side wall does not reflect the existing house. It doesn't appear to be compatible with the house. And the view from the street on that small window doesn't quite as much, but you could make it compatible. All the other windows have more height. They're proportionate, they're more rectangular. And so maybe perhaps just making it a little more narrow might do that. And I am concerned too of the fact that you've lost the definition, as Bill commented, you've lost the definition of that side window, sun or sort of bump out window. It seems a shame to have lost that, but it's not really visible. So it seems, you know, our guidelines are seem to want to protect that. They want to direct us to protect that, but you know, I agree that it's not really visible. So, anybody else want to make any other comments?
So Ed would like to comment, and I would also like to say the windows on this side that you keep referring to, you know, the high windows there in the bedroom, you know, they are 8.5 feet off of the property line. That side wall of that house is 8.5 feet off the property line. From the corner of the street, you will never see them. You will never be able to see them. I hear what you're saying about the window in the laundry room. And I'm wondering if maybe an option might be to make that a narrower double hung and put it a twin. So there's 2 double hungs together. Maybe that would make it flow more with the front of the house. So that would be my option there. I know these 4 squares had to have windows at kitchen, you know, kitchen counters. So along the other side of the house or on the back side of the house, there would be a shorter window there.
Where are you talking about?
Well, it's not available to be seen because it's on the back side of the house. But I'm saying that kitchen windows or laundry room windows anyway would have been shorter, or sometimes bathroom windows on first floors would have been shorter.
Right.
I'm wondering if we can compromise by saying maybe the scale of that window, instead of being 2'10" wide by 3'8" high, would be better if it was 2 foot wide by 3'8" high, but 2 of those windows together would maybe match the profile of the front of the house a little better, because on the second floor windows that are twin windows.
Right.
And that might make the scale seem better.
Yeah, I think even if they turned out to be more similar to the proportions of the rectangular windows that are throughout the house, I don't know that you can play with putting twins in there, but it's going to really fill up that space. I think you may end up with too much overall width, but you could.
I would make
you could play with that. Yeah, play with that and or just make that a single narrow. I just think the proportions are so different for that window than they are for all the other windows.
You know, Brenda, another option may be to look around town, because in your talking about other 4 squares and the shorter windows, you would find also some raised panels underneath of those shorter windows, or a recessed panel, something that gives it the same illusion of the height, you know, that the whole thing is trimmed out as one, and then there's an inset panel down below, and that might and you might be able to find a couple pictures of other houses in town that exist. I know my old house at 801 Savannah Road had those panels, and somebody changed them with vinyl siding, but they definitely, if you look at the on the screen porch on the pool side of 801, there's shorter windows, and they had panels underneath of them in that 4 square house. That's the way they were originally built. So maybe you could find a couple pictures that would satisfy all of us with something like that. That, you know, just a thought.
Yeah, and the other thing that I am going to do is I'm going to measure the windows, the exact height of the windows in that dining room where that bay is. Because it may be closer than we think. Maybe because I don't have the exact dimension of those windows in that dining room, but they may be closer than, you know, this window I've specified is 3'8" high. The actual glass, you know, or overall rough opening for that window. Ed would like to say a few things.
Sure.
Good afternoon. Thank you for making the comments, and thank you for applauding my house. I've lived in the house 34 years, and when I approached Brenda in terms of remodeling and adding this addition, I was very adamant about the fact that I wanted similar features to the addition to replicate that existing house. Extremely adamant, to the point of saying to her and to the builders I've met already that I want my baseboards to be 8 inches high as they are now, with a cap on top and a large quarter round on the bottom. The height of my ceilings downstairs are 8.5 feet. So I've insisted that the ceiling height in the laundry room, closet, and bathroom is 8.5 feet. That's additional cost that I'm going to incur, but I wanted that to be like that. All the trim in the house is 4 inches, 4.5 inches wide with a curve to it. And it's a flat. This is what American Four Squares had. I've indicated that I want that inside the house and all the trim inside the house and outside the house. So in terms of maintaining the look of the house, I think Brenda's done a really good job, especially with the hip roof, which I told her I wanted, and the siding, etc. The siding is what it is. On the main house, of course, it's aluminum siding that was put on in the 1950s, but I just repainted it and it looks terrific. And it is 8 inches high. And so I was very concerned that we do this as close as possible to the original house. Now, you don't have a picture of this, but I have a kitchen in the original house that is a window over the sink that is smaller than the window she's proposing over the sink that will face the front of the house. I mean, it was put in probably, who knows, 60s, 70s, and it doesn't replicate the windows on the rest of the house at all. And it is smaller. It's kind of square, actually, but it's because it went over a sink.
Wow.
And
How does that...
the height of the room was such that you had to do that. So not every window matches the 1920s windows that were original part of this house. The other thing is, think about it. These windows are 100 years old. Can I buy a window that's 100 years old to match that? That's difficult. And it's difficult to replicate that. So I think she's done a pretty good job in that respect, especially with the front window that you'll see from the street. Now, the 3 side windows that face my neighbor, again, that is a bedroom and that is a bedroom wall. So I told her that I wanted 3 high windows so I'd have privacy, that I didn't want someone on that side of the house to be looking into my bedroom. And so that's the reason of the 3 windows on that side of the wall. And yes, the bed would go there, as a lot of beds are. Ours is, well, we might get a new bed for that room, but I imagine that the 3 high windows would be perfect for that. So, and I like the fact that there is more wall space there, 4 dressers inside without having to deal with a window. So those are the reasons we've came up with these solutions. But let me be adamant about the fact that I love my house and I wanted to maintain as much as possible to this new addition. I could have every opportunity to move out of town to go to some new place, and I've decided not to. And my wife and I both want to stay in town and build this addition and have the things that this addition will have, because we're both getting older and we both have back issues and knee issues. And this will be a great, addition in terms of the bedroom, bathroom, etc. So I just wanted to say my piece. Thank you for listening.
Well, thank you, Ed. Appreciate that, and admire you going to all the details for the interior. It should really make it a great addition. I still feel that our charge is the compatibility of any exterior work, and that very long flat wall on the side. And I understand you're connecting, but I still feel that that elevation, so plain and so long, is not compatible with the rest of the structure. And it's not our job to always solve it, although we do frequently discuss possibilities. And I just feel that it doesn't follow our guidelines. So do we?
I just want to say, Barbara, I agree with you. That long wall, when it just doesn't have the right scale. I appreciate that you were very concerned about matching the interior of the house. That's what historic preservation is all about, exterior and interior. But this long wall with 3 high windows doesn't have the same vocabulary as the rest of the exterior of the house. If that wall could be broken by just a 12-inch step, or if there could be 2 long windows with a bed in between and nightstands in front of those windows and lamps on those nightstands, that is a very nice composition on the inside. I agree that long wall is not the same vocabulary as the rest of the house.
Mhm.
Barbara, one thing we did when we added on to our home,
Yes.
we wanted to keep the window height as well, so it would stay in conformity with the older part of the house. And one thing we did was we did keep the windows just like the older part of the house, but inside we put wooden shutters that fit the whole frame of the inside. So for privacy's sake, we were able to just touch
You
those.
achieved the same thing. Mhm.
Yeah. Mhm.
And I think that's a good solution, and I think it's what a lot of people in older homes do.
Yeah.
Right.
And yeah, so I would hope, Ed, that you and Brenda might discuss this a little further and consider that as an option, from just so that you could maintain the exterior character as well as you're doing the interior. Is that possible?
Well, what are you asking? Are you saying that you want us to change the windows, or am I also hearing that you're saying we cannot have this long 42-foot long wall?
Well, we haven't voted on it yet, but several of us have spoke strongly about the fact that the long wall with the high contemporary small windows is not compatible with the exterior architecture of the existing structure. So the conversation that we've been having is suggesting that a solution would be 2 of the regular height windows, and you could locate them so they work for your bedroom, as Bill just explained, as he did in his historic house. And so I'm asking you if you would consider that.
But I also heard that you would like, or Phil mentioned about breaking up that wall with a bump in or something. Now, as you can realize, and especially with a hip roof, that is going to change the whole appearance. If you're going to bump a wall in 6 inches or a foot. And I also heard that you liked the look of the roof line.
Yes, I don't think, I think different suggestions were made on how you might approach solving the problem of a long, one plane that you've got on that side wall. So I don't think, the windows, to me, to my one vote, putting those 2 regular sized windows, as Bill has done and Phil suggested, so that then you could do shutters or whatever you want on the inside, so you could still achieve the same privacy you have, but you would also achieve a more compatible side elevation. And I don't know that you would need to do a bump out, because I can see where a bump out is going to be a challenge with the roof.
Yeah.
And I think that would also include making that front window more rectangular, that in the similar proportions of the rectangle windows on the structure, the existing structure.
I agree with you, Barbara.
I agree also. I know I'm the one that suggested the bump out or bump in, but you're right. It would not be compatible with the roof, which is very appropriate for the addition. So I am not going to.
You want to withdraw that suggestion?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm not gonna stamp my feet and be angry.
Okay.
No, I think it's a good solution not to do a bump out in the wall, because I think preserving the roof shape that you propose is a good thing.
Okay, and Bill, your comment about the, and suggestion about retaining
The bay window.
the bay window, not losing the bay window.
Yeah, you know, I'll just
I
say
mean,
what,
you're gonna create a real small little cubby hole there on the outside. I agree with you. It would be nice not to have lost that, but
You-
that
you
would
know,
have actually
avoid that,
required the whole
Madam Chair.
addition to be pushed back.
You know, you correct that. You know how I would do that? I would put that on an angle and save that bay window. Just have your, because you're trying to get a entrance going into the hall. I would just put, instead of squaring that there, I would have that as a, and your bay window would stand out. You wouldn't take away from it.
Well, yeah, and then you would identify the existing structure.
Definitely. That's what I would do.
A nicer way to identify the extra, yeah.
But like Phil, I'm not going to jump up and stomp. But the window on the side, definitely, and the window.
All right, well, I think we need a reaction from you, Brenda, to know what we're going to vote on. Are we voting on possible modifications, or are you want us to vote on the way it's submitted, as it's been submitted?
Well, from what Bill was just saying about, you know, making the bay window stand out by putting an angled piece in there. Yeah, I agree that that could make the bay window stand out. But once again, that's going to create some funky little roof line there that is not going to look like it goes with a four-square at all. Okay. And then the other thing is, and perhaps Robin can chime in on this, is from the corner of that street, you're not going to be able to see that piece back there. And again, the way the windows are all the way back on the, let's see, hang on a sec. They're back more than probably 70% down the line of sight from the street. 70% down, you know, that right-hand property line. You are not going to see those when you're standing probably 3 to 4 feet lower on the sidewalk back to that portion of the house.
Plus, I plan on putting,
You won't go with
you know, emerald arborvitae or whatever kinds of, you know, garden stuff along that side of the front that faces the street. You're never going to see that side. The only person that's going to see that side is my neighbor, who's only here about 4 times a year. You're just not going to see that side from the street. And then as far as cutting into, to keep that bay window, no one sees that back small window of the bay window. You see the front part of the small window from the street, and you see the bay, but you do not see the very small window that's part of the bay towards the backside. You don't see that window from the street. And if we cut into that, there's going to be a real problem in entering the addition as we plan on entering it from the inside of the house. That's going to be a real problem, because right now I have a corner cupboard there that we're going to remove and enter the addition as a hallway there. So I want as maximum amount of space as possible to enter that addition in this hallway. If we cut it at an angle, that eliminates that and almost eliminates entering the addition in that respect.
I totally agree that, I'm sorry.
You're taking out that return of it wasn't dotted, so I assumed you were somehow keeping that side wall of the
bay.
I try to keep the side wall of the bay, yes.
You are keeping it.
Except it just gives you this much more space, you know. It's not going to change it.
So it doesn't really change the opening into your hallway at all.
But I don't think it's going to give you the benefit that you're thinking it's, because
yeah, I understand.
I have to still put a roof line over that angled area.
Right.
And so that roof line is going to be within, you know, a foot of, actually there's probably going to only be like maybe 6 inches by the time you look at the overhang and everything, there's not going to be that much definition between those two pieces.
Well,
What I will do is I will measure the dining room windows, the height and the width, and try to come up with a window that would be more compatible with that size for the laundry room.
Okay. Okay.
And I would assume that I could present that at chair and staff
Yes.
with scale drawing of the two different windows.
Yes. Yes, you could.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so you want us to vote on this application with the modified window into the laundry room, as you just discussed?
Yes.
And no change to the small
Correct.
window? Okay. All right. With that in mind, we are now voting on this application with the one change, which is to modify the proportions of the single window into the laundry room. Does somebody want to make a motion to approve this submission as with that change? Michael?
Yeah, I move to approve the submission as submitted.
Speak up.
As submitted with the modification to look into revising the proportions of the front laundry room window facing Kings Highway.
Okay. Second?
Second.
Okay. Now, per Brian's request, we are going to go one by one, like everybody, to explain, to vote up or down, and explain your reason for your vote, and possibly tying in the regulations or a portion of our regulations. All right, I'm going to start with you, Bill.
Okay. I'm not going to approve for the following reasons. I think that we can adjust those windows on the right side, and I think they're out of scale with the old addition. I agree with the adjustment on the window that's you can see in the front where the sink is. I agree with the modifications that we want to do. I mean, chair and staff, that would be perfect. I'm not hard and fast on that bay window, although I would do it like I mentioned, but that wouldn't be a showstopper for me. I know you can't see that back window, but if you put that on an angle, your bay window would always carry its character. But anyway, that's not a showstopper for me. I guess the showstopper is those three small windows on the right-hand side. And I think we could go to two, and we could bring those to the dimensions of the old house. So therefore, it's not in scale, and it is a contributing structure. The materials do comply, but it's not to scale, so therefore I couldn't approve at this point.
Okay, thank you. Michael?
Madam Chair, can I stop for a second? Was there a second to that motion?
Yes.
Yeah, George.
George.
Okay, all right, I just want to write that. Thank you very much, sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you, that's okay. Michael?
Yeah, I vote to approve as submitted with the revision to the front window, as we've discussed, because I believe the plan does show general compatibility of the exterior design for a four-square, and that it demonstrates a sensitivity to the Secretary of the Interior standards for rehabilitation of historic property.
Okay, next, Phil?
That me?
That's you, Phil.
Okay, I vote to disapprove. And the main principal reason is those three windows on that long side elevation. Whether we can see them from the street or not, that's part of the character of this house. We talked about the whole house and the roofs and all, and how it all comes together as a four-square house. But that side, those three windows are just not in keeping. They don't reflect the the scale of the house, the character of the house, and so I do not vote in favor.
Okay. Next is Randy.
Randy left the meeting, but he did vote to approve. If you look in the chat,
Oh,
he voted to approve on the condition of revising the sink window.
I think there might be a problem with that. According to your bylaws, it looks as if you have to be present at the time of voting to vote.
you do. You do. Okay.
Can you skip him and I can try to get him on the phone?
Okay.
Yeah.
George.
I'm going to vote to approve the project as amended. My biggest concern was the front window, which has been addressed by Brenda and entered into the record. I don't feel that the 3 side windows are that much of a concern. I think what we have to remember here is I agree that I don't think you're going to be able to see it, or not going to be able to see it that well from the street. I think a lot of us are looking hard and we're trying to see it when we're standing there to review this, but I think the average person is not going to see it from the street. I think that a lot of times that, we're charged with how the house will look from the outside, but we have to give some kind of consideration to the owner when they have to live in the space. And so because those 2 items visually from Kings Highway and the what the owner wants to accomplish living on the inside are okay. I don't have a problem with that, so I vote to approve.
All right. Thank you. Joe.
I would be voting to approve. I have as I said before, I have no objection to the 3 small windows on the right-hand side. And if there is a change to the front new window there, I'll go along with that. So I'm in favor of it.
Okay. I'm going to vote to deny this. I think the option of changing the side windows to 2 windows that are rectangular, proportionate to the house, compatible with the house, presented as an option and has worked well in other historic structures, and you can still achieve your privacy as most people have done whenever they've had a situation like that. And I don't know whether Robin has reached Randy or not. He doesn't appear to be. Yeah.
You want to hold the.
I've tried twice and no answer.
Okay.
So according to your bylaws, in the event there's a tie vote, the matter, like the motion must fail, but it may be brought at the next HPARC meeting for consideration
Okay.
without prejudice, obviously.
Right. Right. Okay.
Can we see if we can get a hold of Randy one more time? I mean, it was obvious through the email or however it went through the chat that he voted to approve.
Yes.
That would make it 4-3.
Yes, you're right.
I'd like to proceed with this project if I can. It's, in terms of timing, I have a builder who says you can start at the end of this month.
Well,
Looks like
oh, there he is.
Here's Randy.
Randy?
Yeah.
Randy? We just went around, canvassed everybody and took votes, and we were trying to reach you to get your vote.
Yeah,
Barbara, I think you need to tell Randy what he's voting on specifically.
that is correct.
Okay.
Not off of that.
All right. So what you're voting on is the modification to the window facing the street in the laundry room. So it becomes more rectangular, similar proportions to the rectangular windows in the rest of the house. And the owner has opted not to change any of those small windows on the long side. In the discussion that you would have heard, had you been here, you would have heard that several people, actually there were 3 votes to in favor of the suggestion that was made to delete the 3 small windows on the side and put 2 spaced out rectangular windows, similar proportion to the windows in the house. As Bill had indicated, he had experienced a similar situation in his own historic house. And I know I've been in quite a few houses, and that's doing window treatment with the shutters or something like that. You can still satisfy your need for privacy, and also then have a more compatible elevation to the rest of the structure.
If I may, actually the motion in front of us is to approve the project with the modification of the front window.
Right.
That's the motion.
That's the motion.
And that change will be coming back for chair and staff review.
Yes.
That's what I was going to ask. So it is, so the motion is to approve the plans as drawn with a chair and staff review and approval of the front window only.
Yes.
Correct.
I vote in favor.
Okay.
And Commissioner Burton, could you just provide a brief explanation as to why you were doing that?
In accordance with the charter that HPARC operates under, and in the need to keep the historic compatibility of additions on structures, whether they be existing or new renovations, I vote in favor of this approval under our articles. I believe it's 197, Brian.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Okay. So it's been approved.
Thank you very much. I will work on that front window and get it submitted for Robin.
Great.
For your review.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you for coming back on, Commissioner Burton.
Yep. Unfortunately, I can't. I mean, I'm just having too many problems with this connection, and I'm only in this zone of reception for about another 2 hours. So every call I make seems to take 3 calls to get it done. And the home fires have to keep burning while I'm out here. Otherwise, I might as well just go the rest of the way across the country and jump in the fires out there.
Well, Randy, I think because you're going to leave the meeting, I think we're going to elect you secretary.
When I looked at the bottom part of the agenda, I was concerned about something like that, especially from you, George. But I know that the rest of the commissioners know better than to give me the gavel or the opportunity to record minutes, because that would be a disaster.
They gave it to me; they'll give it to anybody.
Yeah, you just keep a hold of that gavel till I get back from out west here. Which, if you vote me into anything, I might just have to stay out here.
Oh, okay. All right.
Have a good trip.
All right, take care, guys.
Yeah, thanks again. Mhm.
Yep. Mhm.
Right. All right, so now we're going to do election of officers, okay? And it's open. We already know Randy doesn't want to be any part of that. And I'm sure if there's anybody, well, I think we're going to start with secretary first, okay? And George has done an excellent job. George, you can speak about staying on, or you can.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be more than happy to do it because somebody has to. If there's somebody who wants to give it a shot, I would be in favor of that too. But you know, we can't be left without a secretary. So I'll do it.
Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to do this? And we can, we can rotate positions. This is not something that you are sort of wedded with. Oh, you're saying yes, Michael?
No, I was blessing George.
They're all shaking their heads. No, it's fine. I'm happy to do it.
Okay. Would like,
Well,
I don't know if we have to do formal nominations. We do. Okay. Would someone like to nominate George for secretary?
Sure. I nominate George for secretary.
Oh, okay. Would someone like to second it?
I'll second it.
Okay, Joe.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now we have vice president. Now, Phil, I think, has done an excellent job, but he's also said if somebody else, you can speak to that. You say whatever you want to say, Phil.
I'm sorry, are you?
Yeah, I said you've been a very good vice chair. Yeah, we've already done secretary. Vice chair, you've been a very good vice chair. But you had mentioned to me that maybe somebody else would be interested. So do you want to make any comments about that?
Well, sometimes, I don't live within the city of Lewis, and so I was the one person 3 years ago when the city council voted to give the mayor the opportunity to appoint one person who does not live within the city, to appoint one person to HPARC who has experience and education that would contribute to this to HPARC, and so I was nominated. My postal address is Lewis, but I don't live within the city of Lewis. I've had 35 years of architectural licenses in 4 states, and I sometimes have to bite my tongue, like I did tonight, on coming up with a solution, because it's not my job for the bedroom and the windows. So, and every once in a while, somebody submits something for approval, and I look at it and I think, oh, it should be done this way, but I don't. I'm not the architect.
Phil, the question is just if you want to stay on as.
I want to stay on.
Okay.
As vice president.
Vice president.
Yeah.
Vice chair. Isn't it?
Vice chair.
Anyway, is there anyone else that was anxious to be vice chair? All right. Would someone like to nominate Phil to be vice chair?
Well, I nominate Phil to be vice chair.
I second it.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Phil, I'm going to ask you to handle the election of chair, since it would be really inappropriate for me to do that. Phil?
Okay.
Okay.
Let's see. First off, do you want to continue?
Well, I would continue, but I would also support anybody else who was interested in pursuing this
Okay.
spot.
Is there anybody else who's on this board who does not now occupy or an office would like the chair, be chair of the HPARC? Is there anybody here who
Or
would like to?
is there anyone who wants to nominate somebody else to be chair?
Or yes, and somebody wants to nominate somebody else to be
And still live in the city.
lives within the city.
Well, I nominate Barbara to be chair.
I second the motion.
Okay, Phil, you have to ask for. In favor.
Anybody else want to comment?
I just want to say
Okay,
I'm on the
all in
commission,
favor?
Aye.
I-
Any opposed? Yay. Congratulations, Barbara.
He does a great job.
Thank you. Thank
Bill,
you.
what were you going to say?
I was going to say I'm on the commission because Barbara is the chair.
Nice.
Super job.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
We
Okay.
are blessed.
we're gonna go over the, we're gonna review the HPARC policy. And basically what we're reviewing is pretty much the bylaws and procedures. And you all have a copy because Michael sent you a copy of what had been voted on and approved on December 10th. And this started because there's information in here, there's dates that with our change because of COVID, there's things that aren't applicable. And then I started coming across a couple other things. So
Madam Chair, if I may, I also just want to point out that it's, according to your bylaws, it's your charge to have them reviewed annually.
yeah, I know. That's another thing I read in there that I didn't know, I forgot about. Yeah, and this is, Michael was saying, well, this is our annual review. And so I guess it's also our annual review. So on the first page, I'm only going to point out things that I'm making suggestions on. And if anybody has other suggestions, please speak up. And then after we go through the whole thing, I think I'll work with Michael and we'll revise it per the suggestions. And then next month, we'll actually vote on it. And in the interim, if you haven't had a chance to read it carefully, and you do in the next week or so, and come up with something else, we could certainly, talk about that too. We can, it doesn't stop today. If you find some other things in the next, well, even a couple weeks before 2 weeks before the meeting. Okay. So the first item is on the first page and it's Article 4 and it's attendance. And the last, next to the last sentence, at the end of that sentence, it says earliest opportunity. That should just have a period after opportunity. It continues to currently say, and in any event prior to 4 p.m. on the day of the meeting. Of course, that doesn't apply since we're meeting at 2. And there's really no reason, I don't think, to give a date or a time frame. You basically, when you can't, you either can't attend the meeting or you have a conflict of interest, you would just notify the chair at the first opportunity. Okay. Next page is, let's see. So this is Article 5, which starts at the bottom of the first page, and it is number 5 under chair. So it's A is chair, and it's the responsibilities of the chair, and the top of the next page is item 5. And I talked to Bonnie about this. It currently reads, prepare the HPARC budget by December 31st of each year. And she said, I'm actually not preparing, the chair is not preparing the budget. You're requesting of mayor and council. So I've changed it to prepare the HPARC budget request for the upcoming year. That's one of the chair responsibilities. And secretary, it's the only thing I added, George, was item 2 under secretary. It says prepare letters. I added prepare letters and action notices because that's what you do, isn't it?
Right, yeah.
So I just put that and action notices. And then I put, so then it continues to say, which confirm the final decisions made by the HPARC. And then I put, and email to the building official. Just, we don't have to repeat email letters. We've already,
Right.
You're already preparing the letters and the action notices, and then you email to the building official. Moving on down, after building official, which is D in the middle of the page, after 5, and this can appear in this, but I just added it after 5 as number 6 for what the building official, Robin, does. Prepare packets of information for the commissioners prior to each HPARC meeting, because nothing was in there about that. And then moving down, for solicitor,
Somebody's hitting the microphone.
You're breaking up.
oh, I'm sorry, I'm probably doing that. For the city solicitor, under 2, this is a carryover from when, several years ago, for some reason, I don't understand this, Bonnie, HPC was asked not to have legal counsel at all their meetings. I don't know if they thought it was an unnecessary expense or what.
No, what happened was several years ago, there was a memo from the mayor to all of the chairs of the various commissions, boards, and committees, just basically saying, if you need legal counsel, that's great. But if you don't, we'd like to, no offense, Brian, but we'd like to save a little money. So there was never an intent to cut the boards and committees, et cetera, off from legal counsel. It's just that what was happening was legal counsel was coming routinely, but not really contributing much. So it was more if you need legal counsel, great. But if you really don't, then please let legal counsel know before the meeting. I think that's what that's about.
Yeah, so currently it reads, the chair shall inform the city solicitor in advance of each HPARC meeting concerning whether the city solicitor needs to attend the meeting. Now, of course, my response to that is always, how do you know? Because frequently things come up, it may read simple enough, and then it just mushrooms.
And that's fine. That's a perfectly legitimate position to take.
And I think the other thing is that I think HPARC has a lot more legal responsibility than some of the other commissions, because, you know, our decisions are final. It doesn't go to mayor and council as the planning commission does. And I think we have to be extra careful that we are following legal procedures that will protect the city. So that's my thought. And you know, if it turns out we're going to take a tour of St. Peter's or something like that, that would be up to Brian to attend on his own.
Yeah, well, just make sure when you do the tour, if you do it, that you don't have a quorum. And I know Mike will make sure that doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. But you're right. I mean, and I just want to take a second to compliment this group, because, I mean, I've now been sitting on HPARC for a number of years, and HPC before it. And the level of detail and consideration and grounding your all's observations and positions in the ordinance has really, really come up to a great level, and you should all be very proud of yourselves. So
thank you, Bonnie. And
you know, maybe that having a lawyer around to make sure you do that is a good idea, but I think it's self-generated to a large degree. It really enhances both the credibility of this group and the quality of the decisions that you're making.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you. We try. Under the next section is all members. Before each meeting, it currently reads, before each meeting of the HPARC sounds a little choppy there. Before each meeting of the HPARC, become familiar with applications scheduled for review. Applications, including drawings and photographs, will be on file at City Hall. This is a throwback to when we weren't allowed to remove anything from City Hall. You had to go look at it and then run out and look at a building. So I changed it to reflect what I think is current. So I'm suggesting it says, before each meeting of the HPARC, comma, become familiar with applications scheduled for review, period. Pick up packets of applications, comma, drawings, and photographs at City Hall. Okay.
The only thing I might add to that we do have the option to review the packets online. So maybe make it an either or. Now, I prefer to have the whole packet in front of me and not look at it online, but it is nice to have that option to review the packet online.
Okay. Okay. All right. I'll put something in there.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll just put or online.
Mhm.
And or.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and or. Okay. Next, page 3. Middle of the page, Article 7, meetings. The first A, the first line, currently says the meetings meet on the first Tuesday of each month at 7 p.m. City Hall, East 3rd Street. Well, we're not doing that. And instead of coming up with what we currently are doing and then possibly changing that again, I think we should just say the HPARC meets monthly. Period. Oh no, meets monthly to ensure timely consideration of applications. So I think
Or just get rid of the time. Leave it Tuesday in there of each month, but just get rid of the time.
well, we don't always meet on the first Tuesday, and we won't be doing that next month.
But would that be a special meeting then?
Well, it will be, but, and we're not meeting at City Hall. I mean, I can put the first Tuesday.
Or how about if we said,
I can put first Tuesday, but it you know, it could change again. Yes, Michael?
if we could add something, how about if we did this, the HPARC meets monthly, and then in parentheses, usually the first Tuesday of every month to ensure timely consideration, blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
That's good.
I think that Robin's concern is that how do you distinguish between a general meeting or a normal meeting and a special meeting? Because there's a whole different set of considerations for that. Now, I don't necessarily know what the answer is to that, but there's a whole section on calling a special meeting in your code.
Right.
Well, yeah, that's the next paragraph, and we weren't
Well,
going to
couldn't you just,
change that because this is the regular meeting. This is not a special meeting.
and it says regular.
Yeah, it says
So
the HPARC.
HPARC's regular meeting, regularly scheduled meeting.
Yeah, I think it's important to pick the day that you're going to meet for your regular meetings. Special meetings, different issue, so that the public knows when they can tune in.
Okay.
I would agree with that.
All right. So. Okay. So I'll go back to what Robin suggested, meets on the first Tuesday of every month. And I'm not going to put the time or the location. Meets on the first Tuesday of every month to ensure timely consideration of applications. Okay?
Sounds good.
All right. Same page. Let's see what I do here. I've got under Article 7, still under Article 7, meetings down on C. I know what it was. Under C, it says all meetings or portions of meetings, excluding executive sessions of the HPARC, shall be open to the public. I didn't know we had executive sessions other than for if there was financial hardship cases. Do we have any other situation that would qualify for executive?
Right now,
Well, under FOIA, let's say you wanted to hire a consultant. And you're talking about contract terms.
Oh.
You know, there, I think you could, that's the only thing I can think of. There's usually contracts, personnel, and acquisition of real property. You don't have any personnel. I don't think you're going to be buying property, although it's an interesting idea. But
that's on the budget.
But I can see where there's a possibility that you would have contract negotiations.
And we've done that before. We've actually, I don't know that we had negotiations, but we actually retained a consultant
Mhm.
you know,
Yep.
for a case. And
Just
and we do have a small budget that might come out of. So we'll just keep that in as it reads. All meetings or portions of meetings, excluding executive sessions of the HPARC, shall be open to the public.
Yeah, because I think we had an executive session one time for the Mulberry Street litigation.
Yes. Oh, okay. All right. So, okay. Well, then we definitely want it in there. Yeah. All right. I have nothing else on that page. And the next page is, it's on the top part, it's I, voting. And it seems, the whole paragraph seems a bit wordy, but, and I'm questioning, Brian, whether or not, I'll read the whole thing. Voting shall be by voice and shall be recorded as the number in support and the number in opposition of a specific matter. Recusals and abstentions shall be noted on the record. A roll call vote shall be held for all applications. During a roll call vote, each member of the quorum of the HPARC shall state his or her vote on the matter being considered and provide a brief excuse me, explanation as to his or her vote. Members must be present to cast a vote. Voting by proxy is not permitted. Well, currently, we don't just give a brief explanation. Maybe that's sufficient, but I didn't know if we should add after brief explanation to his or her vote, add with references to the Lewis zoning regulations or Secretary of Interior standards. And that's even more wordy.
Yeah.
But I think there seems to be a lot of repetitious here or repeating things over and over. And I don't know whether it would be acceptable legally to kind of shorten that up a little. And how important is it to you, Brian, that I add in there with references to the Lewis zoning regs and or Secretary of Interior's?
Chairperson, there's actually a provision in the Lewis Code that requires that you provide reasons, at least for a denial. Now, you should be providing it for also a decision to grant an application as well. But there's a mandate in the Lewis Code requiring that a denial shall include the reasons for the proposal, the reasons that the proposal does not meet the criteria of Section 90-59 criteria standards set forth below. So it harkens back, your code requires you to tie your explanation into the standards and criteria.
Mm-hmm.
You might want to consider putting that into your bylaws, but remember that your code's going to control over your bylaws.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to the question, Rob. Brian, do we need it here too?
I would recommend it, yes, and I would expect it to include, for approvals as well as denials, and your bylaws would be a good place to put that in.
Okay. All right, well, I'll work on that with Michael and we'll send it out, and Brian, you can look at it again.
Of course, more than happy to. And Madam Chair, if it makes it easier to break it up, I'm sure you could subdivide subsection I down into separate numerical paragraphs. That might help make it look like it flows a little bit more.
Okay, all right. On the next one, J, simple majority. At the end, and we came up with this tonight briefly, the matter shall, it says if there's a tie, and there is a tie votes, the matter shall fail, but may be brought before HPARC again without prejudice. You had read that. What does fail? Is fail the same as being denied?
Yes.
Well, I mean, to me, fail. I mean, we've got approval and denial, throughout everything, but so fail. I don't think fail's even in our definitions.
Well, a motion fails, right? It the application is denied or granted, but the motion to approve is what fails.
Oh,
And therefore it's denied.
Well, therefore, it's not, the motion's not acted upon.
because we had, George, you were there. And
Oh, yeah.
Bill, and so we just had one time where we had a tie, which was, it was a fluky situation. It was right before HPARC was formed, and we were still HPC, and we had lost a couple of members that had resigned, and we hadn't activated the next organization yet. So we had 4 people, and we had 2 votes each way, and they actually, Bonnie, you were there. It was on about the fences, and Glenn was called, and Bonnie thought it was then a denial or a fail, but I thought Glenn had said, well, if it's a tie, then it is denied, but maybe he said fail, and I misunderstood that terminology.
Yeah, I think it's the same result, albeit using different words.
Okay.
Basically, if you have a tie, it's deemed that the application does not, the motion is denied and the application does not advance.
Doesn't go any further.
Because you don't have a majority in favor of it, right? Because it's a tie.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to tighten up the language, to say the motion fails and the application is deemed denied, just little boots and belt and suspenders, you certainly, I think, could do that. What do you think, Brian?
Well, I'm looking back at the code with regard to approvals with conditions and denials. And if there's a denial, they're permitted the ability to file a second application, or to have a second submission. And then if it's denied the second time, then they can either put in a whole new application, modify the application, or appeal to the Board of Adjustment. So I think the word matters because it kind of dictates what happens with regard to that application.
Yeah, and it's kind of like when we have, when it's pretty clear that it's an application is going to not be approved, and we say to the applicant, because everybody has been voicing concerns, and we say to the applicant, I can call for a vote, but I think you've heard all the comments, and it doesn't seem that you're going to get the support necessary for approval. Do you want to withdraw? So it's not counted as the first meeting that way.
Mm-hmm. It gives them basically another bite at the apple.
Yeah, so they get another chance. So in that case, failing works like a withdrawal. It's not counted as a denial. And then it's not really counted, I guess, as the first meeting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they come back with something.
That's now, regardless of kind of the semantics between denial versus fail, I do think that we should tighten that language up, because it only says fail. It doesn't say what fails. And so, does the application fail? Does the motion fail?
It says the matter. It says the matter fails.
Matter fail. I think that it should be maybe explained a little bit more, and then it may be reworded completely with regard to what happens in the event that it fails. It gets to be brought before the HPARC at the next whenever they file the application again. I don't know. That's
okay.
A little bit more of an explanation is kind of needed.
Okay.
You could say something that, if the motion fails, the application is sent back to the owner to resubmit.
Well, that would be an option, because they just might not choose to even come back.
Right.
So which is what happened the time we had the tie. We just never heard from them again.
We never heard from him again.
No. They'll probably put it up and darkness of night. Yeah. But, all right, well, okay, so we'll work on that, and if we get too frustrated, we'll send it off to you, Brian.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay. Moving further down, I have nothing else on that page or the next page. And then on page 6 is what? I have nothing on that page either. This is, that's for chair and staff. That's pretty straightforward, I think. And then the next page is basic rules of order. And the only, just a couple changes. I was just going to move the first section, which is call to order, approval of minutes, review applicants and stuff. The summary of chair and staff, I was just going to move it down to after new business. So it's the same sequence as what we currently have on our agenda, because that's when that appears. And then the next section, procedures to make a motion. On E, this is a question for you, Brian. It says, well, before that, it says chair calls for discussion on the motion, blah, blah, blah. Then it says chair calls for a vote on the motion. Again, should I repeat reference to bylaws and procedures? Article 7, meetings, voting, or just, this is kind of just sequential, this is more what, not how.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking we could just keep chair calls for a vote, because we know elsewhere how we're supposed to vote.
Well, doesn't this relate back to conditional approvals? Grants of approval with condition? Which is section.
Well, this is just, on voting, period. This is just kind of the bullets of general order of meetings. That's all this is. It just,
or procedure to amend a motion?
what? No, wait. I'm on procedure to make a motion. This is procedure to make a motion.
Okay.
Okay.
I was looking at the wrong section. I was confused.
Okay. So this is procedure to make a motion. And it says the member states the motion, I move that. Member make a brief explanation of introducing the motion. C, another member other than the chair must second the motion. D, chair calls for discussion. The member who introduced the motion has the right to speak first. Members wishing to blah, blah, blah. And then it's chair calls for a vote on the motion. And then the last was chair states results of vote and resulting action.
That sounds correct to me.
Okay, so we don't have to just tell them how there's the procedure of voting, because we've already told them that, everybody that already twice. Okay, then I have the procedure to amend the motion, and I have no comments there. And then the very end is motion to postpone. So it really was just the sequence of the agenda, called the sequence of the beginning of how a meeting would be run, so it agrees with our agenda sequence. That's all on that. So I'm done there. Anybody have anything to say until we send all these corrections off and have a quiz?
Barbara, is it,
Back next month.
yeah, are you, what's the procedure here? Are the other commissioners supposed to look at anything else? And then you bring it up next month and vote on? Is that the idea?
So the idea after, go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, so according to the bylaws, what need to happen, nothing is getting taken today. We just need people to take a look at the bylaws. If they have any additional comments aside from what Barbara has put forward already, we will, you can circulate those, and then we'll put forward, I think at the next meeting, a kind of a red line actually for the commission to review and consider and act upon.
Okay, so
Good.
so do you think that what Michael and I should do then is take the current approved document and just cross out what's been omitted and add so everybody can see the changes?
Yeah.
Do it that way and send that out first,
Mhm.
and then
Great,
and
that's-
that's the document that we would actually vote on, is the corrected document we would vote on next month.
What I might recommend is for each commissioner to take a look at it. And if they have some additional red lines, comments, to send them to Michael. And Michael,
Okay.
I don't mean to designate you for.
Well, he did this. I mean, he prepared this. He's an expert at this.
But to send any proposed revisions to him, and then create a master one to be circulated within the 10 days required under your basic rules of order. And then, after you guys have had a chance to see them in the packet for next month, that you guys, if you're ready to act upon them.
Okay.
Any thoughts on that?
I just suggest that we put a deadline on that, whether it's next week or 2 weeks or whatever is good for Michael and Barbara to get all that together and ready for our next meeting. I think we should have a deadline as to when the rest of us review that stuff and get it to you.
And if I could also add too, as folks, provide edits, if we could just incorporate it into a document with, it would be, I would be able to PDF it with handwritten edits maybe.
Okay.
To circulate it that way, because
Oh, yeah.
it'd be a lot easier to.
Other than people making their own changes and then losing.
Right.
something. That's a good idea. Just scan it, handwrite.
Yeah, exactly. I would do it. We would scan the final
Scan it,
document and
scan
then
it
after everybody weighs in after the deadline.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right. And under new business, Robin, I'm just going to bring up that the November meeting date is actually election day.
Ooh.
And so
I voted today.
I'm still waiting for my ballot.
Oh.
well,
They mailed it. They mailed it the 3rd.
I received my ballot yesterday, and I'm driving it to
Okay.
Georgetown.
We did that today. We drove them to Georgetown.
Yeah. Did you
All
have them date stamp it?
So I emailed Robin after Michael had pointed this out to me, that November 3rd, right,
Right.
is election day and city offices are closed. And so we need to pick another date. And usually we pick the following Tuesday. I'm going to be out of town that day. And but I'm available Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or the following Monday. And I think were all those dates, I didn't print that out. Are all
As at
those-
that time, there was nothing on the calendar except for the council meeting on the
Monday.
Monday, whatever the
Second,
16th.
No,
And
They are at 6:30.
Okay, so we basically could do 2 o'clock on any of those days. Do you all by chance have your calendars handy?
Mhm.
I
And-
do. I'm going to have a conflict for the first 2 weeks because I have a National Association of Realtors conference that I have to attend via Zoom. And in the 2 o'clock hour, I would be in that meeting.
Is that both weeks, George?
Yeah, it goes pretty much from November 2nd through the 14th.
Lord.
And daily Zoom meetings. So maybe I could duck out and attend our meeting, but I'd have to be flexible.
Robin, can we do it the week before?
It's just we usually try to do it after because it shortens everybody's time to get the applications in. Because that's moves it another week ahead, or closer to where we're at now.
What about doing it in the evening of the, 4th or 5th?
That I can do.
4th is better, 5th is bad.
Say 7 p.m.
Okay, so the 4th work okay for everybody?
Yeah.
Fourth is fine with me.
Better check my calendar here.
Yes.
And what time did we say? 7?
7?
I really like the 2 o'clock. Really
Just
do.
this one time, like
Wasting
regular
daylight.
HPARC.
Okay, so that'd be the 4th.
Would it, just a
When-
quick- yeah, would it be possible to move it up to 6?
Well, I mean, when are you finished, George?
Oh, I should be done by, 4.
Well, maybe even if we did, yeah.
Well, you would probably want a little break. Yeah, I mean, I can do 6. It doesn't matter to me. Just,
Either way, it's fine.
6 is good.
I can
okay,
do,
so this is Wednesday, the 4th, right?
At 6.
At 6 p.m., okay.
we all can celebrate the election.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
My fingers are crossed.
I know, mine too.
2.
All right, so Wednesday, the 4th at 4 o'clock, 6 p.m.
6 p.m.
Wednesday, the 4th, 6 p.m.
Yeah.
All right, so, Robin, so we already are changing the date.
Robin, does that work for you?
He likes the daytime too.
Yeah, I'm here.
He gets overtime.
Yeah.
Nah,
And Brian, does it work for you?
Well, then we also have Janelle. Yeah, so we got 2 staffers that have to then be involved.
we'll make it work.
We can make it work.
Okay. All right, so that takes care of that. Now we have presentation of chair and staff. Robin, do you want to handle that?
Well, everybody got the report, so
Yep.
just any comments? I mean, just most of, again, items that have been addressed in the past, so. And there was a question about the 104 Second Street last time. It's on the report this month.
Okay.
The
Yes,
yeah,
Michael?
I think there's just added, wasn't it Bill and Christine Davis?
Yes,
Not
yes,
okay.
yeah. I made the change after, sorry.
Okay. No problem. Yep.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay. Very good. All right, does anyone have anything else? Oh, we're
I
holding
just-
up.
Comment about new business for next time.
Yes?
If we could just put down tax credits, I'd like, if we have time to, I'd like to talk a few minutes on that because I think that train's off the track. Not mainly our fault, but it's Dover and the way our applicants, it's just a whole mess here. And I'd like us to talk about that a little bit. Maybe we can provide input to Dover because I went through their whole application process. That's worse than doing your taxes.
I have heard that. I heard that from Larry Vincent on 2nd Street. He said he had applied for tax credits on a previous project. He said it was easy and user-friendly. And he said this last one took endless meetings and
I've
a lot
done
of
both.
frustration.
It's a nightmare.
Well, we can also get somebody, well, I don't know that we want to do it because it's an evening meeting.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Let's take that on another time.
Yeah,
But
let me get a hold of the state. And because they do have somebody that comes
Thank
down
you.
and does a presentation on that. So they could do a presentation on a Zoom meeting and it might work better for all of us if it's daytime.
Yeah, but I think we ought to provide, if they don't change the way it is currently,
Mhm.
we should be prepared to provide some comments back to them to get this thing a little more user-friendly, because I would think this is something we would want to tout in Delaware. And before, when I did my application, it was great, and they went right on through. Back with Joan Larimore was saying, like, now the application process is not in our favor to ever get a tax credit. And it's misunderstood, I'm sure, from our whole community.
I know, because we used to hand out brochures all the time and they don't
Absolutely.
even have a brochure to hand out. They have to go to a website. And yeah, you're not the first one. I've heard that, from a
Yeah.
couple different people. Yeah,
But
okay.
you're right. I want to do that in the evening. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're
No,
right.
that's okay. That's okay. We can still talk about it, and maybe contact Larry and get some comments from him as well.
Okay.
And okay, anything else? I've covered everything. Okay.
Yes.
All right,
Motion
I
to
move we
adjourn.
adjourn.
All right. Second motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you
Bye.
very much.
Bye.
Take care,
Sorry
everybody.
we held you up, Robin. Held you over a little late.